Okay, so per some people's requests, I'm going to show you how to take out the headlights. Mine's already done, so I'm just going to run through it. Apologize, I don't feel like putting it back together and then taking it back apart because it's not too much of a pain, but it's more than I want to do. So first off, if you still have this tray on here, the tray is going to be sitting here, and it's going to be held in by these guys, which are simple little push sets. I forgot what they're called, but they're going to be inside these holes. What you're going to do is you're going to get a flathead, or they make a tool for this, which is really nice, but not too many people have that tool. So I take a flathead and put it in this little recessed part right here and twist, and it will come up. I will say be careful. These are newer because I broke all the original ones, but the original ones are going to be very brittle, so there's a good chance you're going to snap part of it off. Like I have one that broke. I don't know where it went. Well, have to take my word for it. One of the parts right here, one of the wings here, snapped off, so that can make it harder to take out. But you're gonna undo all those. There's 3, 1, 2, 3 on each side, and then this just pulls off once you have those out. Once you have that out, you're gonna see this bar here, and there's going to be 6 of these screws. They are going to be T30s. They're these guys, and you're just gonna undo those. Once you have those out, this guy just lifts right off, and those screws are also what hold in the actual top of the bumper. Once you have those out, you're gonna go down here to the fender liner, take out the set screws that are in the fender liner, which are T20s, I believe. It's gonna be a T20. Once you have those out, you're gonna peel this back. I have a different setup for my intercooler, so it's kind of in the way. But you're gonna peel this back, and then back here, if it's gonna be cooperative, there's one right up here. Of course, it's not gonna focus for you. Right up here. Oh my god. Where are they at? Like I said, my bumper's half off, so it's kind of hard to see. But you'll feel around in there, and there's gonna be 2 screws, or 2 nuts. They are these guys right here. They're 10 mils. There's gonna be 1 upper, 1 lower. You're gonna take those off, and then once you have those 2 on this side, the 2 on the other side, and these 6 off, you can kind of take this part, pull, and it will come out. Go to the other side and pull. Make sure you keep your knee against it so your whole bumper just doesn't drop off. And then you pull, and you'll hear it break away from those 2. Grab it here in the middle and drop it. And then the headlights have 3 bolts, also T30, same as these guys. There's gonna be 1 right here. This is a really long one, and then 1 right here and here. You're gonna take those out, and then once you have those out, you can slide the headlight out slightly, and you're gonna have these 2 plugs. I believe this is for your high beams, and this is for the rest of the light. or this could be for the level sensor. I can't remember. But you're gonna pull these off, and if you're not used to these clips, the easiest way to do this, I actually did a video for some other people, is going to be put your knee or your body in front of the headlight. You're gonna push in towards you, so against the housing, and then put your thumb on here and lift this, because if you see in here, there's this little guy in here, and when you put your thumb against it, it lifts it. So a lot of people will try to pull and push down at the same time, and when you do that, the little peg that this sits on restricts this from moving upwards. So you're just going to be fighting yourself. So you're going to pull it towards you, lift, and then pull out. If you've never taken the headlights off before, it still might be a pain to pull, but you're just going to take some force and pull that off. This one was a little easier because it's smaller, but same concept. It's got that guy in there, so you're going to pull towards you, lift that, and then pull out. And then once you do that, your headlights are out. And then you can get to cleaning them, which I have 2 other videos on that. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing this at a request from a couple of people, so I'll be showing you how to clean / restore your headlights, and then also get into the projectors in the back. So to start with, you're gonna need sandpaper. Well, this method that I'm doing, you can buy kits that will come with everything, including instructions on how to do this all. This is just to do it with stuff that most people have laying around the house. So I have 800 grit, 1500, 3000. Ideally, I would have 2000 in between these, and a 5000 or 6000 after the 3. Just the higher grit you go, the better this is going to look in the end. So make sure they're wet or dry. It's a big part of it. So I have my compounds I had laying just laying around. You got Mothers, McGuire's, doesn't really matter. If you're into detailing and you have some compound laying around, like buffing or cutting compound, that'll work perfect too. And then the headlight coating, not 100% necessary, but unless you want to do this again in a couple of months, I recommend that. Some of them last 6 months to a year, some of them last more. It all depends on which one you get. You can also use clear coat, automotive clear coat, but I don't recommend doing that unless you have a polisher, like a DA buffer or something like that, because you can end up with orange peel or weird spots that if you don't have a buffer, you just can't get out. Bowl for water. You can use, I recommend a little bit bigger bowl than this, or a pan. This is going to be for rinsing and soaking your sandpaper. Microfibers, I suggest like 3 or 4. 2 of them being for wiping down during the process, 1 of them for cleaning, and the last one for drying. Because it's always good or important to keep it clean while you're doing this. So first step, and again, this is just the way I'm doing it here. There's other ways of doing it. This is the way that works for me, and it's easy and cheap. So first off, I suggest you get some auto shampoo or something comparable. Even a degreaser could work. Put it on a microfiber and get off all the excess bird or bug guts or whatever happens to be on your light. This is also a really good opportunity to clean the housing and everything. See if you scope out any cracks or any imperfections in the light that you need to fix. So clean all that off. And while you're doing that, you can take your lowest grit sandpaper, which mine is 800, and you can put it in the water, let it sit for a little while you're cleaning it off. After you clean it off, get a spray bottle. So kind of like this guy. I mean, this is total interior cleaner. But if you have just a loose spray bottle, fill it with water and spray this down. So you'll take your wet sandpaper after you sprayed down the surface with water, and you're going to do circular patterns. I like to do patterns about like that or so. So you're going to take your sandpaper and just do this number right here, and then come down like half. So if you do a strip like this, you're going to do this, and then you're going to step down just at like a half. If anyone who's watching this has ever detailed before or buffed a car before, it's the same concept. Go through, and then you do half overlap, down, half overlap, down, and just that makes sure that you have proper coverage. And what I like to do is you go this way, all the way down, and take that water bottle, spray the lens, wipe it down with a microfiber to get all the excess plastic and schmoo off of it. And then you're going to take it again and go up and down this way, spray and clear again. And if need be, if you haven't gotten through the nastiness that's on there, you can go like this way, wipe down, and then if need be, back up this way. It's not, there's no really rhyme or reason, I don't think, to it. It's just how I find it to be effective. It's also how I buff cars. And once you're done with that, in between passes, I recommend, like after you do this, you dunk this to get all of the buildup off of the sandpaper. Because eventually, if you don't clean it off the sandpaper will stop doing its thing. Once you're done with that, you're going to go on to the next grit, which for me is 1500. Same motions. Make sure you keep it lubricated with the spray. You don't want that sandpaper to run dry. It can have some weird and bad effects on it. Like you'll get low points or whatever from sanding, some parts sanding at different rates than the other. So you go through all that, jump up to the 3000, again soaking the sandpaper, spraying the lens, and then wiping down the lens after every pass. So you just until you can tell that all the extra plastic is off of it. And by extra plastic, I mean the buildup. You'll see it. It's like a milky color from you sanding the plastic down. So once all that's done, you'll have hopefully a nice uniformed smoke effect. So it'll be nice and opaque. And when you're at this point, make sure you don't see any spots that are more or less sanded than the others. Usually you'll catch it down here. There you'll see like lines of low points that weren't exactly sanded properly. It's kind of hard to get to those. You can leave it, or you can attempt to sand it. Just know if you sand low points, you are going to sand the rest of it to the point of that low point, and that's just more material being taken off. You don't necessarily need to. It'll still look good once it's all said and done. Once you're done with that, you're going to get your compounds, one of them, one or the other. Like I said, if you have a DA polisher, this is going to go a lot faster, or just a regular polisher, buffer, because the doing it with a motor, obviously, is going to cut the time in half or less. So you would just apply it to the pad like you would buffing a car, and do the same thing with the passes. Go like this, then go like this, and then wipe down. And you might have to do 2 or 3 passes with the polisher to get it to a really nice level. Like I said, mine's not perfect. It's not where I wanted it to be, but it's a lot better than what it was. If you're doing this the manual way, you're going to want to grab a just a microfiber will work, but I prefer having a backer. So if you have some hard foam, such as, sorry, take a detour here. If you have something like this is actually the buffer that came with the Meguiar's restoration kit. It's got a Velcro on the back of it. Or if you have one of these guys, which is something that just it's got Velcro here, or a hook and loop that attaches onto a buffing pad. Those work perfect because then you can apply more force and the force is more evenly distributed instead of going like this and having the majority of the force on your fingertips. Having those pads disperses the effort across an area, so you just come out with smoother results. But you take it, you put the compound on the microfiber, and you're going to do the same thing. You just take it and you're going to buff it, which this is probably the more time consuming part if you do it by hand, because you want to really make sure you get in there and do a good job, because this is the final step. This is how it's going to look once you're done. So take your time. After you get done buffing, you're going to take the new microfiber and wipe it off. You can even take like a windshield cleaner and spray it to get all that compound off there. Then once you've buffed it, polished it, if you have the coating, you are going to take some isopropyl alcohol and clean off the lens to make sure there's no grease, residual compound, or anything that's going to affect the adhesion. You know, take all that off, and then you're going to take your, well, this one specifically, this is Meguiar's coating. You're going to take it and you're going to wet down, it doesn't take much, probably about 7 or 8 drops onto a microfiber. I like to fold it up small so you don't end up wasting any. So you get something like this, just drop it on there, and then same thing. You're just going to do circles, overlapping 50% on each pass. And you're going to make sure you cover the entire surface. You don't have to do up and down, you just do the one pass side to side. And let it sit. The coating will cure. Like I said, each coating has a different set time, so be aware of that. Just read the directions. It's always the good bet. So now we are on to the projectors. So when you take them out of the car, you're gonna undo this, pull this out, and this is for a housing with xenons, so it may look different if you have the halogens, but I believe the projector setup is the same. So you can take this guy, twist that off, undo this, and the light bulb will come out. Make sure you put this in a safe spot, because D2S are expensive. Unless you get the crappy knockoff ones, which be careful with that, because I've seen people's headlight housings melt because of them. So just be cognizant of that. Sorry, I'm trying to find a way to set my phone up so I don't have to hold it. I'm not a fancy person, have a nice camera. Well, I do, but too lazy to get it. So inside the housing, you're going to see that there's these 3 screws. There's one here, one down here. They are going to be the T20 with the post in the middle, so tamper star. You're just going to get at those guys. And I'll just do a cut on this. But before I do that, you're gonna want a swivel joint for the screw down here. So this guy is kind of a pain to get to, and it's angled in such a way that if you have just the standard driver on there, it's going to be at an angle where you could possibly strip it. So I recommend getting a swivel joint. It just makes it a little easier to get to, and not strip it out, because this is definitely one of those spots you do not want to strip anything out. I will go ahead and cut real quick and then allow you guys to miss this unnecessary part. Okay, so once you have these 3 screws out, you're going to have your projector, and what you're going to do is you're going to pull, and then there's a little lip on the top here. You're going to pull and twist. Once you have it a little ways out, you're going to twist it and then pull it out. It comes out fairly easy. And there you go, you have your projector. So once you have this bad boy out, there's 4 screws, here, 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 and here. And those are also the T20 ones. So once you undo these screws, the projector will come off. And what you're going to do is take a microfiber and some isopropyl alcohol. Put the isopropyl alcohol on there and wipe all this off. Sorry about that cut. Neighbor's dog was going crazy. So you're going to take the housing after you have it off, wipe it down in the front, and then while it's off, it's going to be a lot easier. But when you have it off, you're going to take the same microfiber with the isopropyl alcohol and wipe the inside of here. Once you're done wiping both those sides, get a dry part, wipe it down the front, wipe it down the back. And then while it's off, you can take that microfiber and wipe down the inside of the housing as well. And then once you're done with that, reinstall it the same way you took it out. I will say, since these cars are old, the casings tend to crack, be brittle, so try not to mess with these wires too much. You'll notice, maybe, if it'll focus, the casing is cracking and stuff. I plan on, unfortunately, pulling out all these wires, redoing them, and rerouting them all, because the last thing I want is a short. These cables, luckily, are pretty good, which is important because these are the high voltage cables for the igniter. So, like I said, clean up the rest of the housing, might as well while it's out. Make sure on this there's a little screen. Make sure there's nothing up in here. Clean that out with I used Q-tips and isopropyl alcohol. This is a little mesh screen. Don't puncture that. That's going to be for releasing of heat and moisture from the housing. So if this gets blocked up, it won't vent or drain the condensation out, and then you'll get condensation on the inside of the lens, and it can short things out.